He sure does. He has history on his side. We remember where we were 4 years ago and where we are now. We remember when our borders were closed. We remember when our cities were much safer. We remember when you could afford to go to college, you could afford interest rates, which have increased radically. You could afford to buy an automobile, and most importantly, you could afford to buy a home. It costs anyone now twice as much. You have to earn, Eric, twice as much now as you did 4 years ago to buy a home. So people, whether they are black or white or Asian or Hispanic, we're all in this together. We all feel it together. We know when things aren't safe. We know when our borders are open. We know when things are too expensive. We know that, what's happening in Europe, we're at war in the Mideast, and we see what happens in Ukraine. And just now we see what's happening off of our coast, where there's actually a Russian nuclear sub there, as well as other Russian vessels. Come on. Things were so much better. That affects all of us. We all have the same needs and desires, and we saw it in New Jersey. In New Jersey, I had the largest political rally in the history of the state of New Jersey, well over 100,000 people on the boardwalk and on the beach, and they were people of every color, every race, it didn't matter whether they were pipe fitters, plumbers, engineers, doctors, lawyers, carpenters, just everybody, young and old, coming together. Americans have had enough. They want to get back.
Yeah, the Trump administration, the campaign was, touting those numbers about that rally. And what strikes me is we see the former president now. We used to have the term the Reagan Democrats. They were the Democrats who, of course, voted for Ronald Reagan. Do you see a new generation of Reagan Democrats potentially, but as Trump Democrats?
I do. I meet a lot of people. I have the largest district in New Jersey. I meet people over 6 different counties and in the rest of the state because I'm the state chair for Donald Trump. And young people come up to me, people that you never historically saw being involved. I mean, teenagers and young folks saying, hey, you know what, we need a change. We want to do something different. Go MAGA. You wouldn't expect that, but it's true. I think that there's really something happening out there. It is a love for America. And it's the ultimate decision, Eric, whether we're going to continue to be the shining city on the hill, whether we are going to be the leader of the world, or whether it's going to be globalism and we're just going to fall in place and be like everybody else. I want us to be the leader, and I believe Americans of every persuasion want us to be the leader as well.
And Michigan poses some challenges, very heavily union state. President Biden being a union president, of course, he walked the picket line at that point. But at the same time, he's got the Palestinian vote, and 101,000 people voted uncommitted in the Democratic primary. 101,000 is like 4% of the Democratic vote in the last presidential election in Michigan. So what does it mean if you have that many people, voting uncommitted in a Democratic primary? Do you see complications there for the president?
It is complicated for Biden. He's got a problem because he's trying to walk the line. He's trying to ride the fence. He's saying he's pro-Israel, but not really. He's pro-Palestinian. He's going back and forth. And, if you're not hot or cold, man, you're nothing. He's there and he's lukewarm and he's not telling it how it is. And people realize it. So he's got a real problem there. He's got a problem, I believe, with the workers, not the leadership in some of these unions, but the workers, because they are afraid about the EVs, because they know we're going to rely on China more. They know that if this President Biden continues on, we're going to be building plants out in Mexico and in other places rather than reinforce what we have here, build more here. We want American-made cars in the United States of America, fueled by American energy with American strength. I believe that every race, color, and creed believes that, as I do.
And finally, let me read to you what the White House has been saying, or at least this could be a template for the Biden campaign, their successes. White House says that more people are working than any other point in history. They rescued the economy, changed the course of the pandemic. They're rebuilding our infrastructure, rallied the world to support Ukraine against Putin, lowering the cost of families' everyday living expenses, the White House claims, created 11 million jobs and unemployment rate historically low. How does President Trump, and how do you respond to that when the Biden administration comes out and says, no, look, we're as good, you deserve our support?
People know better than that. And, all that one's in, if we had a half hour, I could go through it all. Obviously, we don't. But let me tell you, to say that we're in better shape than ever, when men and women, when they want to buy a home, have to earn twice the income that they did before. When you go to the grocery store and you realize how expensive everything is. When you see our open border, this country, our military, when you see our debt, our national debt growing, when you see people struggling more than they ever did before, that's just not true. The things that you're saying are not true. And he can put that out and try to convince you to believe it. But there's a word in politics, and you've heard it, Shawn, counterintuitive. People saying, what? What is he talking about? That doesn't make sense. And it doesn't.
Yeah, you represent Atlantic City. So,
Yeah.
What are the odds, do you think, on the presidential race?
Oh, I think Trump's going to win. And the question here is not if he's going to win or not, in my mind. It's how big he's going to win and how many states he's going to carry. But he's going to win. He's going to win because there are going to be independents that voted for him, of course, Republicans, and there are going to be Democrats who love America, as you called them, Reagan Democrats in the past, who are going to say, we just can't keep going along this path. Like it. I've never seen so many people so fired up on the side of getting, a change and going back to where we 4 years ago and getting a new president, a president that we know is tried and true. I haven't seen it. There's something real in the air. There's going to be change. We're going to win, and we're going to get our country back on track.
New Jersey Congressman Jeff Van Drew, who represents the southern part of New Jersey, folks. If you're in Atlantic City or nearby, Congressman, always good to see you. Thank you for your insight today.
Appreciate it.